Hello, everybody, and thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching the Vuyo show. We are coming to you, of course, from New York City with yet another installment and episode ready to serve to you with a cool and interesting guest from somewhere around the world. And today's guest has joined us, got on a flight, spent about 16 to 18 hours on the plane just to be here with you guys. I'm joking. But ladies and gents, please help me welcome entrepreneur of note. I can't wait for you guys to hear what this guy has in store for not only South Africa, but the world at large with the work that he's doing. So please sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the next couple of minutes together with myself and the one and only, put your hands together, everybody, Rory.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me, Vuyo.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
I'm good. You came a very long way to be here. Not for this show, but like you're here now. But
Yeah.
you came a very long way to be here.
I'm happy to be on the show too.
Yeah, from Joburg. How does Tyler say it? Joburg. Sorry.
She has a bit of a Durban accent, but she's a Josie girl.
She made Joburg very, very popular though.
Yeah, she did.
With that song.
She's the biggest artist in the world right now, I guess. Yeah.
That's amazing. But you're from Joburg.
Yeah,
You're a guy from Joburg. I just want to the way she sings it in the song.
Yeah, that pretty girl from Joburg.
Joburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Joburg. So
she says it with an ER.
Yeah. So you're a guy from Joburg, and we met quite recently at the Africa New York business.
The New York Africa Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, this is gonna kill me for saying that wrong. She'll be like, "Boy, how dare you?"
Don't worry, I'll remember for you.
But that's where we met, and I was pretty much intrigued. Heard a little bit of what it is that you do, and I was like, we need to sit down with this guy and learn more about all of it.
No problem.
So welcome to New York. I know this is not your first time in New York.
Yeah, I've been coming to New York since I was about 12 years old. That was the first time on a school tour. And then I came again actually on a school tour in high school around 2017. And then, I came to study, not in New York, but in America, in Montana in 2019. I was a college athlete. I played soccer. And then, I graduated last summer. And I came straight to New York for the summer, spent 3 months networking. And now I have a company in New York that I'm trying to get off the ground and slow but steady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're giving us years. You know that you're exposing your age.
It's okay. I'm young.
Because everyone's doing maths now. It's like 2019, high school, graduated last summer.
I'm a young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay. They can do the math.
But tell me all about it. I mean, Joburg is one of those parts of South Africa that's very well known around the world.
Yeah.
Just to give us a bit of framework and context on exactly who you are. And I hate asking someone this question, and I hate being asked this question, but like, I think it's relevant in your case to be like, who are you? What are you? What would you say in a 30-second pitch? What do they say when you're at networking events? Like a 30-second
an elevator
pitch. You see, he's an entrepreneur.
Or just about me in general, or Johannesburg?
Just about you.
About me? Well, I was born to two doctors, Diane and Blaine Bloy, and they're both from Kimberley in the Northern Cape. They came to Johannesburg to study at Wits. And I'm a Joburg boy, grew up there my whole life. I love the city, it's vibrant. I would say that Johannesburg is the New York of Africa.
Lagos, people from Lagos would argue with you. But
it's
anyway.
okay. They know the truth as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love where I come from, and I think it's given me the platform to go around the world and be confident in who I am. Because I'm proud of where I come from, and I do want to make my mark on the world and people to know that I am where I come from. Yeah.
And if you were to describe basically how you said you are a product.
Yeah.
I don't want to say child, but a product of two doctors.
Yeah.
I guess that experience how was that experience kind of being raised in a professional home? Because they're both professionals, and if you were kind of to paint that picture for us. Yeah.
Well, obviously my parents grew up in apartheid, so just the fact that they dedicated so much time of their life to beat the system and become doctors, because it wasn't easy for everybody. It's just given me a lot of self-belief. I never ever felt pressured to follow their footsteps or anything like that, but I always felt like I had the belief in me that I could do whatever I put my mind to because of who my parents are. Yeah, so they're the first doctors in their family, first people who graduated out of their family. And yeah, they've elevated their families' lives far beyond the point that I think both of them could imagine. And that's just something I'm trying to emulate. It's tough.
The pressure.
But I had to start young, thankfully.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
And I can imagine having been raised by people who had to break out of generational curses,
Yeah.
one could say, or hindrances from a generational point of view, how that could also shape your world into understanding the before. So because they are so in such close proximity, so you have a reference of what life could have been if they didn't make those choices, and then life being how then they did make those choices, and then how life then became.
Yeah. And I mean, the reference is never too far because you can just look at some of their family members, or life is not the same for all of us. We may be family, but thankfully, because my parents were doctors and so forth, I live a different life. And they do take it onto themselves, obviously, to help elevate everybody in the family, especially through education.
Yes.
But yes, the reference is never too far from home.
Yeah.
So yes, it does keep me humble in a sense.
And what lessons would you say you had taken from your household, just at home?
Yeah.
That because now you've kind of gone into the world, and I'm sure there are some of those fundamental principles that have shaped you to be who you are today.
It's discipline, and that nobody's gonna give you anything.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna come and save you. If you want to do something with your life, you have to take the initiative to do it. And yes, you may not be successful, maybe even the first 10 times, but if that's what you've decided to do with your life, then it's up to you to keep going until you knock on the right door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. You mentioned before we started filming that you went to boarding school.
Yeah.
Boarding school. I know a lot of people who go to boarding school there's like experiences come in two different ways. It's either so good or so bad. And I've never heard of like an in-between scenario where you're like, I came out fine, look at me. Right? People are always kind of speaking, as much as there's so many things that you have to learn, but the hardships in there that could make you kind of not enjoy the experience, or the goodness in there.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you?
I don't have any negative experiences, actually. My school, Kersney College, that's the best school in South Africa. And yeah, I was taken care of academically, sports-wise. I'm not much of a cultural guy, but
Oh, really?
yeah, they have the best choir in the world. They won the World Choir Games. So I was in a great environment around a lot of supremely talented people, whether it be on the rugby field or in the classroom. So I really enjoyed it, and I think it pushed me to be a better person because you're around people that, one day they will achieve greatness. So yeah, you just got to make sure you're one of them.
What does that environment do to one's psychology, right? Because we always hear about how it's important to put yourself in the right space, because that's what will make you succeed or not, right? And there's obviously scenarios that someone from a terrible environment could come out successful. So there's always those experiences that are different. But coming from a space that is always consistently speaking of excellence, consistently championing, as you said, success and all of that, what does that do to your psychology that's different to what someone in a different environment doesn't get?
I think it makes you believe in yourself more, like, because you're surrounded by these people, you know? And it's sort of, if you don't step up to that level, then you're wasting your time. I don't really feel imposter syndrome anymore. Maybe when I first arrived there, yes, but I don't feel that anymore, and I'm thankful for that, because going into new environments, you can't be second guessing yourself, because what's so special about those people there that makes them more deserving than you? And it's really nothing. It's just that in their mind, they believe they should be there, and that's why to you it seems like they're very comfortable, and you feel anxiety, but you shouldn't, because they're probably second guessing themselves too.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's such a fascinating thing for me to hear because I've always wondered. Like I went to UCT,
Yeah.
and people are always like asking, "Oh, but why do UCT students have this thing where they just think that, you know?"
Yeah.
And for me personally, that's what I would constantly hear in the classroom, and that's the conversations that are being had where lecturers are like, "Oh, you guys are the best," you know what I mean, and that gets ingrained in you.
Yeah, it does.
And would you say in a boarding school capacity, it's just a matter of you get there and everyone is good, so you also become good, or that's something that you're taught to be excellent and smart and successful?
It's a tradition thing.
Okay.
When I got to my school, it had already been open for around 95 years. So it kind of gets ingrained into you that you're not special. There's 95 years of people before you that made this institution what it is. So therefore, you can't come here and think you're more special than the other boys to undo 95 years of work. So it's more of a being proud about being what you're a part of, and that you're able to be in a society like that, a community like that.
Yeah. So pressure, would you say?
Positive pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure creates diamonds.
And if you don't want the pressure,
He might just be a rock, not a diamond.
so then tell us. Then you go to this boarding school, you get trained within these kind of, you said, sports, academia.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that? You go to university.
Yes, I wanted to go the international route. So I went to a soccer showcase in Las Vegas and I was scouted there. And then, I signed 4 months later for my university. And I started studying business management and marketing there. And playing soccer. And I became the second highest goal scorer in their history for the program. So,
So give a round of applause, Marcus. That is stellar. That is stellar. And again, it goes back to knowing excellence, and that's all you know.
Yeah, when I got there, I don't know what it is, but I just couldn't believe that American kid could be better than me at soccer. So.
Was he American or was he also here from somewhere else?
No, I mean, my team was made up of people from all over the world.
Yeah.
But I was more like they play basketball and football. They don't play soccer.
Yeah. That is so cool. And it was a funny story because we were chatting about soccer just before you came on, and we were talking with Nate and the other guy, how soccer in America is like, it's not that big of a sport.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because there's a lot of barriers of entry. Like in anywhere in the world, football or soccer is the sport of the poor people.
Really?
So and that's what makes football what it is. You can't make soccer something that you have to pay $4,000 a month, $4,000 a year to play club soccer for.
Because you can do it in the streets.
You can do it in the streets.
Yeah.
I can play with stockings that we roll up. You can't make a sport like that something that is part of the elitist community.
Yes.
I mean, Pele learned how to play from rolling his mother's stockings up.
Wow.
And now it's somebody that we revere around the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, all the soccer players in the world that people look up to, they're from the poorest parts of the world.
Actually, now that you mention it.
Yeah, and that's where America, the disconnect is.
Yeah.
It's not something you can pay to go to a fancy prep school to. That doesn't make you good at soccer. Yeah.
And what made you choose soccer?
I don't actually know because I was a provincial rugby, cricket, and soccer player.
Wait, hold back up. You didn't diverge that information.
Yeah.
So sports basically is at the core, would you say?
Sports is
your
my
thing.
core, yeah.
Yes. You play not basketball. You see,
Cricket,
I'm
rugby,
in
and
America
soccer,
for too long. So cricket and
rugby
and soccer.
Yeah.
So those are your three sports disciplines.
Yeah.
And then soccer was the one that you came to America with, but you were still playing the other.
No. I stopped playing the others. I think I could have gone professional easier in the other two, but by the time I reached like age 15, my passion for rugby and cricket started dwindling, and it was more shifting towards football. And then I think in my grade 11 year, my grandfather passed away, so I made a promise to him that I would pursue football. Yeah, so I did that, and
So playing provincial, what does that look like to our audience who might not understand in a South African context? Playing provincial sports.
It's like playing state, representing your state. It would be like competing against all the kids in California and then only the best 18 represent the state of California. Yeah.
So and that was during your high school years.
So primary school years, it was rugby, cricket, and soccer provincially, and then in high school, I just played football provincially.
Wow. That is cool stuff. And it's funny because right now what you're doing now has nothing to do with sports.
Nothing.
So the journey and us kind of understanding, how your journey has been it's quite insightful to get to understanding why you are here in the first place. So tell us about your experience being at a university in the USA.
University in America is really easy.
In what sense?
Everything's multiple choice. You can bring in cheat sheets to the test. Like, it just felt like I was in a high school classroom again. Or I feel like I did more work at Kearsley than I did to get my degree.
Wow.
In America.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like I felt like they were just teaching you to be a worker. You just know how systems work, so forth, and just the basics, Nothing too in detail. Yeah, you just understand how to work for somebody.
And that kind of sparks the question in my mind now to say you're not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah.
I've heard people say they've come for their post-grad and they're just like, what the hell am I doing? This is so easy. But then the question that I have is, if we were to say maybe at University of South Africa might have been harder, UCT was so much, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So, but now how about those countries still emerging and developing when the education is such at a par than a country that's, one would say, the best in the world, but the education is
That's intentional, though. Those are the systems we live in.
Yeah.
That is not, unfortunately, not down to citizens and so forth. That's the government.
Yeah.
I mean, America, they have most of the resources in the world, even though you might not find those resources in their country. They have a means to getting those. And obviously, yes, we may feel like we're getting a better education at home and so forth. But at the end of the day, the way things are set up, if you want to get the most out of your skills, you have to leave.
Yeah.
And then you come and you export the skills you learned here to this country, and they benefit from it, not your country.
Yes.
So obviously, we stay a developing nation because the people who would lead us into prosperity have come now to
been exported,
and they lead these countries onto greater things. Yeah. So
that's been a debate, even with like things like doctors. The best of different countries would come and compete in the US market. And I've had that being said to me as well, like, why head over and go make America better than just developing? But that's a conversation for another day. But I get what you're saying, and I understand there doesn't need to be a great education system because the ones that we're just gonna export.
Yeah, they export it all. I mean, Fortune 500 is Indian CEOs.
I heard that. Recently.
So if they go and get their education, sure, maybe they go to an Ivy League school or they go to Oxford, but they still come and give their skills to America.
Yeah.
So does it really matter? Because then we can just teach our people to be workers. Yeah.
So the degree then, what would you say was the most fundamental value in studying in America? If the educational, the education in and of itself might have not been at the par that you might have gotten at Staley's, for example.
Yeah.
But what did the experience then mean for you?
It's just, I guess it's kind of like, you could say the respect that comes with it.
Yeah.
Because people put America on a pedestal. If I come and say I have an American degree, they obviously value that more. It's just the way people's minds work. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But that's why I studied here, but I still live at home. I run companies at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? I still live at home and I run companies, not just a company. I want to hear all about these companies. Would you say that your experience in America, like what was the first thing that you kind of felt like was a big shocker to your South African experience and living here and studying here for, I believe, 3 to 4 years, right?
Yeah. I don't think there's a middle class here. Like in South Africa, there's a big middle class.
Yes.
And most people, like, we actually live in nice homes, and everybody here, it's either you live in a rural town and your housing is cheap and all that is cheap, but there's nothing to do. or you live in a big city and you're struggling, you're paying $1,300 or more for a room.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Listen, like
Yeah.
a city like New York or LA, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's just a rat race, really. So
Yeah.
that was for me, because obviously movies, it's great propaganda for America. You think that you're coming to all these big lights and your dreams will come true immediately. It's
Yeah.
not like that. Yeah, I just think that there's a great disparity between people who are really well off, and then you're either really well off or you live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, you're just getting by.
Yeah,
And would you say that, but there was still value in you being here either way?
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's value always in traveling the world. You need to meet different people. Otherwise, your opinions stay the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, what would you say how was Rory different when you got back to South Africa after spending time abroad, an extended amount of time, not just like 2 weeks holiday? Yeah.
So I would say that it was harder to connect with people that I was very close with before, because my worldview has changed. What I want for my life has changed. And if people don't get out of their comfort zone or the space they've always been in their whole life, unfortunately you grow apart because they just don't see the world the way you do, or they don't want as much as you do from the world. So yes, I would say that is the difficult thing about going and studying overseas or living overseas and then coming back to where you're from, because people they'll seemingly be stuck in the same place you left them.
Yeah.
And as much as you love them and you still want to help them and be around them, it's very difficult. So it's maybe you're kind of stuck in a limbo because you feel like you don't belong to a certain group of people anymore. It's like your mind has expanded to where you've been and what you've seen. And and now you come back to what you know and what you love. And it's a very big gap between the two.
I think that's my biggest fear as well.
Yeah.
Going back.
Yeah.
It's like I fear that notion.
I mean, it's not like you're going back to destitution. South Africa is on the rise, definitely, especially with the new government. But
TNU.
yeah, and nor do I put America on that type of pedestal either. I don't want to make it seem that way. I love where I'm from. I don't think I'll ever leave South Africa, but I will always continue traveling the world to gain more experience and want to better myself and the environment I am in. Yeah.
That's definitely, I think, a better outlook at it, and not choosing either or, and not kind of being set in stone. Because there's so much value that you gain from just being in a different. And people speak different languages. People have different nuances.
Of course.
And you get to then start learning how to be part of a different world than what is yours, but still be authentically South African.
And authentically yourself.
What do you think about this new trend now of South Africa, culturally, that is? From music to...
It's nice. Sure, like Amapiano is being exported.
Yeah.
But I don't think South Africans are. It's like you'll have panels here in New York talking about Amapiano, but there's not a single South African on the panel.
I hated that.
Yeah, so what's the point? Because now you're just appropriating. You're being like the same people you complain about. So, yes, you can say Amapiano is great, you love it so much, but if you're not helping the people who created it make money from it and expand their culture, then you're just stealing. So yeah, I mean, I've been to Amapiano parties in New York, and it's more Afro beats, and rather be honest then. If you're having an Afro beats party, play Afro beats. Don't bring a crowd by putting Amapiano on the flyer.
Yeah.
Now I arrive and all I hear is Wizkid and come on.
And a song called Amapiano.
Yeah, like,
but it's not a South African singing it.
and that's very deliberate because now every time you search Amapiano, that song will come up, but that's not our culture.
Yeah.
That's an Afrobeat song.
What do we do though to make that happen? Like what? And I know as South Africans we are very laid back, people.
That's our problem. We're very welcoming and loving, and you allow people to step over you. But I think that's up to our artists, especially the ones who lead the industry, like Maphorisa, Kabza. It's like the Major League Twins. It's like them coming here to do songs with Travis Scott and stuff before they do songs with a bigger South African rapper. So they're giving the A-OK for people to expropriate the culture
Yeah.
because they're doing it themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because someone commented, I posted something and they were like, it must be great being South African in the States right now because everyone's talking about like even Doja Cat at Global Citizen had a South African flag. And I'm just like, I don't know, it
doesn't feel like us.
It doesn't, there's something missing.
Yeah, that's the authenticity.
Yes.
South African people are very authentic, and even you can just see it by the way people dance amapiano. Like South Africans, our motto is the aim is not to sweat. And you come here, people are crumping and
the dance moves, and I was sitting there on the sidelines thinking, what are you guys doing?
Ew, no, it's bad, eh?
But that's why we're here to create that education. And like I was saying, I was at an event and it was titled Amapiano. I mean Afrobeats and Amapiano.
But that's what they do.
And I was like, what do you mean? Don't put Amapiano on the thing because
just tell us it's Afrobeats and that's fine. We can enjoy Afrobeats if it's Afrobeats. That's fine.
And there was no South African on the panel.
No South African on the panel.
And they were talking about Amapiano.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Wow. There's a lot more work that needs to be done.
But a part of that conversation is that South Africans don't feel the need to leave home.
Fair.
We love home. So, unfortunately, out of the African diaspora, it's mainly Nigerians, Ghanaians, West Africans, and people from other African countries, and like Zimbabwe. South Africans, we love our country. We don't want to push out a culture when there aren't more of you out there.
You need to be there physically, though, to push the culture?
Yes, like Afrobeats. Afrobeats would never have taken off in the UK and America if there wasn't such a big Nigerian population. Okay. Because then who's playing the music and for who? So, yeah, it's very hard to push out South African culture because we're happy at home. We love Mzansi.
How was your college experience being South African? Was that something that you spoke about quite often, or you kind of changed your accent and you kind of assimilated?
I never changed my accent. If you're having difficulty hearing me, I'll speak slower.
Can you hear him? Can you hear him, Marcus? As long as it's not saying Snaple.
No, definitely not, eh?
Snapple.
But I went to a very conservative, small American town.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it was kind of a big deal. But thankfully, when I arrived, I was with 3 other South Africans. Oh. But it was funny because they're 3 white South Africans. So people would always be like, "You're not really South African," Yeah. And even to me, like, you're like really light,
Yeah.
They couldn't grasp the concept that in South Africa it's not just black people.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, and especially if I say I'm from South Africa, they'll take that as just the region. So it'll be like I'll be saying I'm going home to South Africa next week. And they'll be like, "Oh, I'm going on a retreat in West Africa." Yeah, but I'm like, it's not a 15-minute drive to the west.
Yeah, like the West Coast. Like Atlanta's like what 6 hours driving, and that's the South. You know what I mean? From the east, so they don't understand.
They don't understand the concept of Africa is not a country; it's a continent.
So you definitely, I'm sure you had a great experience. But what did you learn at that university? Because that then kind of went on to you getting into entrepreneurship. So what sparked in your college, or did that come after university?
It came in my college.
Okay.
From a young age, my father has always pushed me to read books by like Warren Buffett and so forth. So I've always wanted to be, if I wasn't a professional sportsman, I wanted to be someone influential in the business world. But when I got to my university, it became even more so because all these kids were from small towns in America. And the epitome of their ambition was just to work for a big company and I don't know. For me, I'd rather fail a million times trying to do my own thing. I think that there's just so many possibilities in this world. There's just no ways you can just straight after university, you just count yourself out. And it's like all these great things exist already, and let me just fall in line and live a comfortable life. And I don't want to live a comfortable life. I want to live a good life. Yeah.
And then comfort comes underlined undergrad. But tell us then, what were you thinking about when you were in college? What ideas was kind of stimulating in your mind about entrepreneurship that you were interested in exploring?
Yeah, well, it started before college actually. So when I was finishing high school, I guess the money that I would have gotten for a down payment on a car, my dad took me to one of his colleagues, and I invested the money in his company, which was a printing company that was based out of Italy and ran in South Africa. So I think that's where it started.
So you didn't get the car?
No, I didn't need it. I was at boarding school and I was going to come study in America. So I invested in the company. I sold my share for that 2 years later. So I invested in a sports academy in South Africa called XP Football Club. They were actually who took me to the Gothia Cup in Sweden to play while I was in high school, and they also took me to the showcase in Las Vegas where I got scouted to study. So the two owners, they're brothers, Nicholas and Alex Stothard. Nick is a UEFA A license coach, which is like the highest license you can get as a professional soccer coach. So they came to me and asked me if I wanted to invest and own a share with them in their company, and I said definitely. And now we have an academy over 300 boys.
Wow.
We have about 3 or 4 teams in the cup finals in Johannesburg of the Rand districts. And we sponsor a team from Cosmo City. We pick them up twice a week to come train, and we provide transport for all their games and so forth and coaching. So that's my passion project. And just from there, it's been different companies. And just before I graduated, I had an idea, which is what my current company in New York has turned into. So I had an idea to bring NBA and NFL players, black players, to invest back into Africa. As I have friends and family that own a lot of alternative investments, such as like farming, stuff like that you can invest in. That's not the stock market in Africa.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Panson, David Panson. He's the second black president of the Harvard Law Review after Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And he took me under his wing kind of as a mentee, and he helped me get my company set up. It's currently not that I'm not bringing NBA and NFL investment into the country, but I'm providing trade and corporate solutions for companies both in America and Africa, or around Africa, but specifically South Africa. Trying to bridge the gap in business between the two continents as people are flooding into Africa now for business. And from there, I now own. I'm a part owner of a financial technology firm in Cape Town, and we're the first ever company in South Africa to be approved by the regulatory board and to get the licenses to move money in and out of the country for high net worth individuals as well as international merchants, because we're not the only country. There's about 32 countries that have the same regulatory issues as us. And there's a lot of money stuck in there from international merchants because it's too expensive for them to move the money out through the reserve banks. They lose about 45% of their money by doing that. So what's the point then? So a lot of it has been moved out in crypto previously and so forth, which is then at a disadvantage to the African countries because it's not taxed. So we provided, a first world solution. And this year we are we became the first, we won the best international payment service provider in the world.
Wow. Another round of applause, Marcus.
We work with clients like Shein and Temu. So we're going to be bringing a lot of business into Africa. So I guess my two companies, Africa Legacy Partners and SecureFX, they overlap. But SecureFX is interesting because it's actually our CEO and founder. She's a very interesting lady, Jill Volmans. She makes up only 7% of female founders and CEOs in the financial technology space in Africa out of 700 companies. So I was just really excited to help her and get the company to where she'd like to be, which is definitely a $1 billion company.
Wow. In
Yeah.
rands or dollars?
Dollars.
Oh, unicorn right here.
It's definitely a unicorn company.
That is amazing. So the first company is the Sporting Academy.
Yes, XP Football Club.
XP Football Club, and that's located in South Africa.
Yes, that's in Sandton.
In
Johannesburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one is
Africa Legacy Partners. That is who I'm partnered with Nkulu.
Yes.
So he's my partner in that, and that's based in New York.
Okay.
Yes, and then it's Secure FX, which is in Cape Town.
Okay, so these are 3 companies that you mentioned. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, these are the 3 companies.
All of them, you are a part owner in all of those 3?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Which one came first?
The football club.
Because you were part of it.
Yeah, so when I sold my share in the printing company after I left high school.
What was the return on that?
I mean, nothing like crazy.
Okay.
I invested around 300,000 Rand and I got back maybe like 650.
Okay, so 2x.
Yeah, 2x around there. But I mean, it was a very low cost company because Europe has a space problem. So there's a lot of warehouses where they just keep old like government printers and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're not old, they've just been used for 2 years, but that's their contract. So they were giving it to us for like 150 euros a printer. And then we were just renting it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were able to make a 2x, which then was able to then go into the second
XP Football Club.
XP Football Club.
Yes.
And that's the one that's in New York City.
No, that's the one in Sandton, the football club.
Oh, yes.
Sorry. And then I started Africa Legacy Partners, which is the trade and corporate solutions company in New York last year with Nkulu.
And kind of expand on the services that are being offered in that particular one.
So, for instance, a deal that we're going to be seemingly closing soon is a bank in Mozambique. We're looking to be bought, but unfortunately, nobody had $200 million available in Africa. So I came to some partners of mine that I know that work out in Missouri for a trust. And yeah, they're in the process now of acquiring that bank in Mozambique. So yes, and also if people need to fundraise, R1 million is far more than $70,000. If you get 7 people to write you a check for $10,000, you have the money. So yes, I help people expand their businesses. Whether it be through funding or they would want new clientele on a different side of the world. And we'll be expanding into helping businesses from New York move into Cape Town. Because, Cape Town's been rated the 2nd best city in the world just after New York. Yeah, so, I mean, if you have a business in New York, why wouldn't you want it in Cape Town too?
So you're bridging the gap with that particular business between the 2 continents, one would say. And then the third one being the one in Cape Town that does
the financial technology.
And what's your role in that company?
I was just technically an angel investor again.
Okay.
I don't. My CEO and founder, she is the brains and the mastermind behind it. I don't like to mess with her work.
Yeah.
So I'm there for support when she needs me, getting the name out there. But it was just I was an angel investor. Provided the money for her to go live. Because I guess if we didn't go live last December with our testing with like Shein and Temu and Uber, then the regulatory board was going to just open up the license to anyone again. So then somebody else would have had the unicorn company. Yeah. And I like to make people's dreams come true. I'm a big dreamer.
And it was fascinating now, and we're going to kind of come back into the businesses again, is you started marketing and
business management and marketing,
How did you did you practice in that sense, or would you say what you're doing now is the practicalization of that?
No. I truly believe that like studying is just so you have that paperwork behind your name.
Okay.
But you can go into anything. Engineers are most of the guys in financial firms because they're great at solving problems. Yeah. So I don't think that, no, it's not the practicalization of what I'm doing now. Yeah. I truly believe that business is friendship. And I think why a lot of people are turned away from entrepreneurship is because they see it as they have to compete or work with these huge brands.
Yeah.
And how am I going to get in contact with this brand? And how am I going to do this? But it usually is just one person making the decisions behind these big brands.
Yeah.
So it's really just about getting yourself in the rooms, being confident enough to tell people what you're doing, and yeah, just don't belittle your dreams. Just do it.
That's amazing. What is the science to? You mentioned you've invested in 3 companies that are successful right now.
Yeah.
So what's the science in investing? I've spoken to people on the other side who are the entrepreneurs who are looking and talking about, oh my God, we're on round Series A, but I haven't had an investor on the seat to share with us what an investor looks for. What are some of the fundamentals that you are concerned about as an investor, and what made you invest in these 3 companies specifically?
Well, I mean, you always have to look if a company has a durable competitive advantage. So you have like price competitive businesses, which can be like your gum and so forth, and then you have your durable competitive advantage companies, which is like, let's take Hershey's chocolate, for example. The chocolate always costs the same amount of money to make.
Yes.
But they can move their prices up with inflation. So you're always making more money. So I look at companies that have a durable competitive advantage. So like, for example, SecureFX. They are the first and only company with those licenses. They're completely changing the African market, bringing in investors by the billions, or investment by the billions. And then my XP Football Club. Yes, there's a lot of soccer academies in South Africa for sure, but not all of them are ran by a guy who has a UFA license. So there's already an advantage there. People want their kids to be taught by the best. That's why we have over 300 kids in 3 years. But for me, beyond the fundamentals of your balance sheet and if you're making money already and your management team, if I can't sit down and have a meal with somebody, then I don't want to be in business with them.
Yeah.
Because yes, we can make money, but if I can't connect to you on a personal level, if I can't shake your hand and trust that what you say is what you say, then I don't have any business doing business with you.
Yeah. So it's more relationship.
For me, business is relationships. That's truly what it is. The balance sheets and so forth will take care of itself. If you're in a happy working environment, a good working environment, you understand where you want to go, then things will happen naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about the type of people you have. That's it.
You sound quite optimistic about your approach in business. Have you had any failures or negative experiences?
Definitely. I just had one like 2 weeks ago.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, it's very common. I'm a very I'll give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
If you screw me over now, then that's your choice. We don't need to do business again. So yeah, I mean, I've had lots of money taken from me and deals gone bad, but that's just life. It's not gonna make. There's never gonna be a bad deal that's gonna make me stop going to the next one.
Okay.
Because I can't paint everybody with the same brush. There are ethical people. There are people who think like me. So we will find each other.
I remember hearing, I think it was on Shark Tank or something, or one of these pitch shows.
Yeah.
And one of the investors asked, "Have you failed in business?" And the entrepreneur was like, "No, not yet."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I don't want to work with you."
Yeah.
Because if you haven't failed, you haven't learned anything, right?
They can have a huge meltdown in their first fail.
It'll be on your money.
Yeah, it'll be on your money. And failure is just so natural.
Yeah.
It's just that people feel embarrassed. And I think it's also especially because of social media. You see only people's highlights in their life. You just see what people want you to see. They're never going to tell you if rent's due, they can't pay today.
Yeah.
If the company's in turmoil. You'll never see that. So you are always now looking at these things and you're trying to compare yourself to a level that doesn't even exist to those people. Because they'll never tell you their failures unless you sit down one-on-one with them and they trust you enough to tell you. So definitely, failure is a part of the journey.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fun without it. Roller coasters are fun because you go down and you go up.
They closed a number of those in South Africa, so I haven't been on a roller coaster in a while.
You gotta go to Gold Reef, man.
I think that's the only one left right now, right?
They closed the one in Cape Town.
I know, in Century City.
Imagine Gold Reef closed down because Ratanga failed.
That was at the Rotanga Junction, right?
Yeah.
Man. And what about successes that you've had that have really then given you a pat on the shoulder to remember why you do what you do and you invest in companies and you go about in founding companies as well?
Definitely Secure FX.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be the one that pays me out the quickest and the most. But yeah, I think like Secure FX will probably be for many years the most successful thing I invest in, because not every day you can invest in a unicorn company.
Yeah.
Like the football company, the football academy, XP. That's not something that is making me millions, or it's a passion project. I feel happy. It makes money. Yes, it's not gonna make me a multi-millionaire, and that's okay. And yeah, I mean the Africa Legacy Partners, the one I'm starting now. I mean I've started last year. We're still starting it. That'll take time. So I don't know. Maybe in 10 years I'll only see fruition from what I started in 2023 with Nkulu. So yeah, it's a difficult question to answer. You gotta take it one by one, but definitely Secure FX. I don't think anything will put me on that level anytime soon. Yeah, just yet. Yeah.
And what do you look for in people that you work with? You mentioned some of the qualities, but in depth, like what are some of your checklists that you mentioned Kulu that you've worked with, and the founder of Secure FX as well. But what do you identify in those individuals that you say, oh, they have similar traits, and that's why I want to work with them or invest in them?
They're good people. They're honest. Yeah, I don't ever have to worry where I stand with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not happy with something, they'll tell me. If I'm not happy with something, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly okay, because it's in environments where you can't be honest with people that issues then arise. Because things get swept under the carpet, emotions, so forth, and then when you can't really afford turmoil, that's when those things blow. At the really important times, because you don't have that environment where you can talk to each other. Yeah, so at their core, they're just really good people. And then, of course, their education and level of thinking. And I don't always take education as the same as being intellectual. So yeah, but you can tell when somebody's very wise and all the lights are on upstairs. Yeah. I'm not a very rash person. So yeah, I like people who are as calm as me, and yeah.
Yeah. And I know about Nkulu. I don't know about the other, but I think Nkulu kind of fits in that category.
Yeah, he's a very relaxed guy. Yeah. You can go talk to him.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I like that. I don't want to ever feel like I'm walking with my tail in between my legs to go speak to someone. And yeah. If we have to throw hands sometimes, that's what happens. It's life. But we still love each other.
Yeah. You're on the same mission. The same mission. And I'm sure you've heard to many that you are an inspiration, right? You work with a number of young boys, and I'm sure you hear that quite often. What does that mean to you when people look up to you and are inspired by your journey and what you're doing and the choices that you're making right now?
Well, it's actually very personal to me and towards my community, I suppose, because I feel as though in South Africa, colored people are the forgotten people of South Africa. So, because all issues are black and...
Here I would say it's a mixed...
Yeah. But they just call you light skin.
Or mixed race, because it's a whole different...
Color doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. Yeah. But it exists in South Africa.
Yeah.
And, issues in South Africa are very black and white. And then our issues don't really get raised.
Yeah.
So I just want to be somebody that people from my community can look up to and say, like, I can do it. I can go study overseas. I can go work overseas.
Yeah.
I can own these companies, because you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, I'd like to change a lot of the things in my community and push a lot of boys away from gangsterism and thinking that the epitome of life is a Golf 7 and some gold Krugerrand earrings. I would love to steer my community away from that, because there's so much in the world that they just don't allow themselves to see, because they're so stuck in their mentality.
And how old are you, if I may ask?
I'm 24.
24. That's very inspiring.
Thank
That
you.
is very, very inspiring. And I've had a number of young people on the chair here with me on the show. And I think the level of intellect and just the level of understanding, and we get context now because when we spoke about earlier about your boarding school and how excellence was drilled at you from that age initially, the fruits now are coming out and we're getting to see that, right? So it's important that is something that young people are being taught and given and inspired in. And we need a lot more of that in South Africa.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We need kids to just say like, I'm taking up this space and I'm doing this. People will follow you.
Yeah.
And people also need to stop thinking like, oh, my friends don't support me, my family don't support me. Those are not the people who are going to make you rich 99% of the time.
Yes.
It's the greater public at large.
Yeah.
Go show people you're great. They'll believe you and they'll buy into what you're doing. Yeah.
Man, that was so inspiring. What brought you to New York this time around? I know you've been here before, but what brought you to New York now?
It was just the launch of the New York Africa Chamber of Commerce. And I'm currently trying to close another deal with Africa Legacy Partners. So I like to come to New York just to network, meet people. I often leave with more work than I came with. So you just never know who you're talking to in New York. You can talk to somebody and they'll be the person who changes your life. So there's never really a reason I'm in New York. I love New York. It's just the place to be if you're a young person and want to excel in life.
That's true. And I was so intrigued when I heard that you were there for that because it was Unga.
Yeah.
The week before that week. So I maybe thought you were here for Unga and
No, I wish I was, but unfortunately there was some work I had to complete.
Back home.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like for you, being in that room at the launch of the Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, it was really great. I love being in rooms like that because it makes me feel like I'm closer to my goal. And just the conversations you can have. It's not silly Instagram stories or Twitter debates. It's real conversations about what people are actually doing in the real world. So it was a really great experience. Love seeing Boosie again.
And how did you meet Boosie?
I met her last summer.
Okay.
Through another South African. And she's just been very welcoming and helpful in the business world. She's always happy to lend her ear, so I'm very thankful for her. And I just came to support her, I guess, and meet new people.
And now you're here on the Vuyo show.
On the Vuyo show.
Imagine, like all the way across the world.
Definitely.
Because we started the show in Joburg.
Oh, you did?
I did, and then I put it over. So I'm like, you had to fly all the way to be on the show when you could have been in Joburg. But that's how it is, you know. That's how things work. And what's next for you? What are you currently looking forward to doing next? Closing the bell at NASDAQ, maybe one of these days. What's next?
I think that once I have the financial means, which hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, I want to buy a PSL team.
Oh wow!
And I want to make them.
That's a big goal.
Yeah, and I want to make them the best team in Africa. I want to take Sundowns off their pedestal. That's my goal.
Wow.
And that's why we started with an academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll grow it eventually into a professional team and take over South African football.
So you want to start one or you want to buy one?
No,
that's currently already there.
The way it works is you can buy a license. So a team that's currently in the PSL, if their owner no longer wants to run the team, you can buy their PSL license and rename the team to whatever you want. You can relocate them. So I would do that and relocate the team. Hopefully, keep it in Joburg, but make them the best team in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're already starting to do that initially now with the academy.
The roots. Building it from the ground up.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where a lot of South African teams, Sundowns, they spend 40, 50, 65 million rand on players from Brazil, Venezuela. Why? When we have more talented boys back home, you're just lazy to do the work to unearth them.
Yeah.
So we'll do the work. And then yeah, we'll become the best in Africa.
I love that. That is a big goal, but it's exciting, I guess. It's quite in the business world. What are some of the things that you are um going to be looking forward to doing next in the world of business?
I want to actually help a lot of companies from New York expand
Yeah.
to Africa and see the value in Africa. I mean, just in Johannesburg, the richest square mile in Africa is there.
Yeah.
There is money. Like, you can be successful in Africa. It's not just this barren land of desert. Yeah, I really want to do that. I want to start making people see the value in Africa, whether that's investing in companies in Africa and entrepreneurs there that I know and need help, or whether it's bringing their companies and then employing our people. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is really what I want to do because, and that's also why I invested in SecureFX, because the big thing about when people invest in Africa, their worry is, how am I going to get my money back?
Yes.
Because it can be blocked at a bank and then you lose $20 million and what? So SecureFX makes that process seamless. Money can be transferred in and out of the continent within 72 hours, 24 to 72 hours, directly to your bank account. So, yeah, I just want to keep showing people and expressing to people that the dangers of investing in Africa are far less now. And we have the youngest and largest ever working population the world has seen. So, yeah, I really do think that the world economy is moving towards Africa because what capitalism is built on, unfortunately, is cheap labor. If you have 1 billion people wanting to work, that's where capitalism is going to move.
Yeah.
And you can see it especially in Cape Town, with the government pushing for digital nomads and people. I mean, I see so many Americans in Cape Town and Dutch people, German people. I don't see South Africans on the Atlantic seaboard.
I know.
That's where I stay, and I don't feel like I'm in my own country. So really, I can see it changing in real time, and I want people that are here to not miss the boat. Yeah.
What do you think about? I mean, at Unga, in all of the events that I was attending, even at the headquarters themselves, everyone was talking about Africa. I asked someone, I was like, "Wait, what's going on? Like, why is every panel something something Africa, something something Africa, doing
It's
business in Africa?"
because the West is very quickly deteriorating. If you look at how Burkina Faso and that Colonel Traore, as well as the neighboring countries like Niger, so forth, they have now signed a pact to introduce. They've got rid of the franc that was controlled by France. They no longer export all of their resources to France, including the lithium, which provided 1/3 of the electricity in France. So that is the big push for Africa now, because the West is running out of resources, and they need to keep up. They need to keep their systems in place. So how else do you need to go and invest where the resources are? You need to move where the resources are. That's why you see so many Americans now in Accra, Cape Town, Lagos. It's not because they want to move back. They have to. The world economy is moving to Africa.
And is that a good thing for Africa?
It is if the right people are in charge.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
in terms of the governmental structure in Africa. Okay.
Because a lot of people, they're still under governments that are like neo-colonial puppet structures. So, I mean, yes, it may be a black man in power, but he doesn't, not all not all skin folk is kinfolk, like they say. So, yeah, we need the right people like Colonel Traore from Burkina Faso involved in the process, who actually care. There's far more than enough wealth. We don't need to steal it from each other. That's typically how it goes in Africa. They keep 99 cookies and make you fight over the 100th. So we need to make sure that people have fair access to their resources of their land, and that it's not just American, Canadian, British, French companies sending their people there and then employing our people. We need to make sure our people own means of production. Because for instance, if you take a dollar, the dollar goes around the Jewish community 14 times before it exits. That means they're paying their rent, their groceries, everything to people in their own community. In the black community, a dollar goes around once. That means the minute you're paid, you're giving it to another community. So eventually, that's how things need to change. We need to start owning means of production in our continent. And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah. And what would you say is the thing that has placed us where we are? Yes, colonization, which a lot of the countries have dismantled. I think it's out throughout the continent. And South Africa was like the last, right? We were
Yeah,
like the latest to be
yeah,
democratically free.
yeah, 94.
Yeah.
But look, it's very much out of our power, out of our control. Because if, like in Nigeria, they just got approved again today, a 1.57 billion loan from the World Bank.
And
But
it's
there are
Independence
people,
Day today,
yeah,
actually.
but there are people who live in abject poverty. They, like, yeah, they live in complete poverty in Nigeria. And why is that? It's because the people at the top, they don't have the people's interests at heart.
At heart.
They go and live in condos in France, and because those are their puppet masters. They get the nice luxury of living there and being the president of the state in Africa. But there's no president really, just people struggling. And the resources get depleted.
And in a country like South Africa, where there's an unemployment rate, we know what we have as a country. The resources are there. The young, there's a big young population. There's everything we need for one to say we can make a country great. So why would you say we have?
That doesn't suit the people who own our economy, because you must understand, pre-94,
Yeah.
they had cheap labor. It was the black population. It was the black South Africans.
Yes.
Post-94, you're giving them equality. So who's
Yeah.
the cheap labor? That's why we have to flood our cities with Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Mozambicans.
So fundamentally, that's how capitalism works. It requires cheap labor for it to.
Yeah, but how can you replace the native population? How can the colonialists replace the native population to keep their systems going? They need to employ the native population if they truly give them freedom. So something's got to give. And South Africans are not just going to sit by and watch their country be taken over.
Yeah.
Black South Africans and South Africans of color have not yet been able to enjoy freedom. They're still not part of their economy.
Yeah.
They're still not a part of conversations. They're being pushed out by other Africans. So there's only one way that's going to go. It's not xenophobic or so forth. It's just that you can't declare people free and then you don't allow them to participate in their own country. Before they're even allowed to participate in their own country, you push them out for other cheap labor.
Because the labor because we are equal, they don't get.
We have minimum wage rights. We have BEE acts.
Yeah.
We have stuff that actually protects us. South Africa has some of the best labor laws in the world, but you don't have to comply to them if you're giving an illegal foreigner the job. So, I mean, just being at home now, there's a lot of home affairs raids and to get South Africans back into the workplace, into jobs that they truly deserve. Because the reason, like in America, you can have a society where people can pay rent, and even in a city like New York as a college student, is because you're allowing them to be bartenders, you're allowing them to be waitresses, you're allowing them to have the low-end jobs, as they like to call it, but it provides for them. Now as a South African, if you can only go to varsity, but you can't be a waitress, you can't be a waiter, you can't do any of these low jobs because it's been taken by people that are not from your country, then how do you create prosperity for your people?
Yeah.
Of course, there'll be 56 youth unemployment and 35% unemployment overall.
That's very high.
Yeah, and now, like the DA, they're pushing for the removal of the unemployment, of the minimum wage. This is all just so that they can keep bringing in cheap labor.
These are South African politics.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we are having this conversation. And I think I'm considering my friends, I'm considering my peers back home I went to school with, and I'm like, guys, this unemployment thing is just so stressful. What can we then do, right? Do we start businesses? Do we go about and become entrepreneurs to make sure that we provide employment for others? Like, what role can we play is what I get to ask myself, and it's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah, and of course, yes, you can go and create companies, you can go and create industries, so forth, but then it's also on once you create those frameworks for people to be employed in, are you then going to go for profit? Or, are you going to care that you actually employ South African people or are you worried about your profit margins?
Yeah.
Do you care that you have to pay people properly, or do you just want more money and you're happy with giving somebody $350 a week? Those are the choices people need to make themselves.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of opportunity in South Africa, and clearly that's why there's a lot of people with money. But there's a lot of dollar millionaires. Just in Joburg, there's more than 15,000. So,
Dollar millionaires?
Yeah. So there's money there, but obviously, business ethics comes into it.
Yeah, and you mentioned business ethics as well earlier on in this conversation.
I don't like to work with people that are unethical.
Yeah.
If your product or your business, your product or your service is as good as you say it is, it'll be that. And you can still pay people properly.
Yeah.
And it will still make you that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this is good. This is good. I am so looking forward to seeing. Who do you remind me of? I'm trying to think of someone that kind of like at the back of my mind, right? I think you're like a Stephen Bartlett. Have you heard that before?
I've heard it.
Yeah. Not even from a physical point of view, but just like he's the youngest guy in Dragon's Den, and I think he's 31 right now. He's so young. Yeah. He's 31. He has all these companies that he's invested in, and you just like that. You give me that vibe, right? And we need a lot more of that in South Africa at a young age as well. So getting to see that in live action and hearing you just speak so comfortably and confidently about the work that you're doing is good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's good. What would you like to leave on the table? I ask my guests, like something to make sure that you want to say that I didn't ask you, that you want to make sure that you say to our incredible audience at home.
Nothing really. Just thank you for having me. It was a great conversation. I wish you the best of luck in the future with your show.
Thank you.
And yeah, let's get it on South African TV.
Yes, you heard it. You're on tape, right? You heard it. You said it on tape, so now it has to happen.
We'll make it happen for sure.
Oh man, ladies and gents, I hope that you enjoyed that. We didn't plan the all white party going on here.
No.
It just
Definitely
happened to
not.
be. South Africa likes, like, we are like a party nation as well.
All
white parties, we are there, okay? A Duke party, an all white party.
I'm going back to Kitty's Ember, so don't worry.
Listen, you heard Chris Brown's coming to South Africa, right?
I'm not going to watch that.
Why not?
It's not 2012. Oh, no.
What? Did you go to the DSTV festival?
No. Did you see the weather?
I saw the weather.
Yeah.
But people were there though.
Because they like things.
Yeah, Papa, right?
People come,
We like things. That's our thing. Like, we like things as South Africans.
Too much.
people are wondering why Thailand's the way she is. I'm like, you don't know us South Africans.
We like things.
We like things. That's who we are. So I saw what is his name, Pastor Rhymes.
Yeah, I was actually on the flight back with him.
Oh really?
Yeah,
He finally left. Everyone was like,
no, he's applying for citizenship. I was telling you, South Africa's too nice. Once you start partying, you'll never leave. We went to that piano hub.
I saw.
He's never gonna leave, and our women are too beautiful.
They say that.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, when you go there, you get good music. The women are good. You get good food. The
And
vibes
there's
are
more
good.
women than men. You can't not end up with a wife.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, even in Cape Town, the ratio is like 8-1, women to men.
8-1.
Yeah, and it's the gay capital, so it might be more.
8 women to 1 man.
I promise you, something like that. That's why Cape Town, the people love it.
That is so hard to me. So wait.
It's something like that. I'm telling you some crazy stats like that.
One guy can have 3 women.
Oh, but you know
know
in South Africa, it's like that already. You have your wife, but you... Nah, this is gotta be off air.
This is I didn't know that stat.
Yeah.
But that is interesting. So I guess that's also why people love to explore Cape Town.
It's all the wild parties. There's 30 parties in Cape Town, just with no
Pebble
underage
Beach.
kids.
The whole shebang. And it's gonna become, I think, in the next couple. I had like 5 people literally this week say, I'm coming to Cape Town this December. Are you gonna be there?
Because it's the destination to be. Like, you'll go to a club and you'll end up at a mansion in Camps Bay or Clifton until 8 a.m. And yeah, it'll seem like you're at one of those Hollywood parties.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff happening, but nothing illegal. Like, yeah, they do it. Yeah.
No baby oil.
Just, Just some, I'm a piano, man.
Yes. Now we're good people. We're good people. We're good people. We're good people. But no, I'm so glad. And I think we were chatting earlier about like the cultural exporting. People have to, and I guess that's why Chris Brown, you have to come to South Africa to export. We don't export. We want you to come in and experience it live in person. So that's why people go there and they're like, wait, hold up, what? And that's across the board. It's not just like artists.
It's because we have Ubuntu.
Yeah.
You make people feel at home.
Yes.
They're like, what the hell? I've never been here, but I feel like I'm at home.
So much love, man. So much love. I saw pastors going there to preach. I'm seeing like across the board, all industries. People wanting to start businesses. Yeah. I heard Stellenbosch in and of itself. I think there's $1 billion in the past, a stat about something $1 billion just in Stellenbosch has been invested in the past year or something like that. There's a lot of startups in that area.
There's going to be a new airport in Cape Town.
In that region?
Close. But yeah, there's a new airport in Cape, international airport.
Because it's Cape Town.
Because there's just too many people traveling there.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's more Airbnbs in Cape Town than there is in New York.
This is interesting information, and I feel like they should put you on the Business South Africa campaign. Like Rory Bloy, guys, and he do the Business South Africa campaign because you're selling the country. I'm sure Marcus is like, when am I booking my flight? Right, Marcus? You ready to book your flight? You gotta see all the hype, but that is the advocation that you're doing for the country, and I think it's absolutely incredible. And also just being that bridge between the two continents and making that exporting what we have to offer as a continent, and then bringing also business to Africa. Yeah, because that's what we need a lot more of.
I just want to uplift Africans. That's it.
What would you like your legacy to be in hindsight? When you're all old and grey and sitting in your...
That I help people.
Yeah.
That I use my money not just for my own personal experiences and, enjoyment. So that it meant something. Because money you can't take to the grave. It's a worldly possession. So I'd like to leave it in the world, but in a better place than when I had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to build structures that live on beyond me. That's why, like the soccer academy, and so you may leave this earth, but you're always there somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your impact has changed and impacted lives.
Yeah.
Which is this is great. So congrats on all the success.
Thank you.
I know there's gonna be. It's all the way up from here.
Hopefully.
It's all the way up from here. Yeah. And hopefully you'll be on the Vuyo show again and again. Next time you're launching another unicorn, you come back and
I'll be here.
You come and tell us.
Definitely. No, thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, ladies and gents, investor, entrepreneur, and former soccer star. Rory, who joined us on the show all the way from South Africa. I hope that you enjoyed our candid conversation. We're just out here chilling, man. That's what we do on the show. We had a conversation that's authentic and real, and hopefully inspired you to go and get your dreams come alive, and start a business, invest in one. Any of those would work. As you can see, Rory do it effortlessly so. And looking forward to seeing the success of what he gets to do in the future as well. My name is Vuyo, your favorite global darling. For myself, Rory, and Marcus behind the camera, it's goodbye and have a fantastic one. Cheers for now.